Yes, yes, yes. It is the Cast Worthy Podcast. Back at you here this fine evening. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, joined this evening by EJ the Savage and the VP of Research. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
What's up?
What up?
Living it up or what?
Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, it is Wednesday, October 30th, 2019, the night before Halloween. And we are here with some greatness, some topics to discuss. It's fine evening. We've got a great, fun-filled episode ahead of us here. You guys ready for this? Are you geared?
Yes,
You
sir.
guys amped? Oh, y'all been kind of tired of y'all being all fucking pussy lately. Need you to fucking have some energy when we get up on here. No.
All right, Steve-O.
All right. Well,
Some buttons.
nobody likes you. So as seen in the opening, we can be found on Spreaker. We can be found on Spotify. We can be found on Apple Podcasts. We can be found on iHeart, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Castworthy, CASTWORTHY.
Google Play.
And Google Play Music for those of you who are still on Androids here in 2019. Hopefully you will become adults in 2020. So as we begin, was a sad day in Black comedy, Black excellence. John Witherspoon, aka Pops, best known for Friday, the Wayans Brothers, Bang Bang Bang, put some more hot sauce on my burrito, baby.
Gotta coordinate.
Gotta coordinate. He passed away today, October 30th, 2019, at the age of 77. So rest in power from the Castworthy Podcast. He was in tons of films, man. Obviously, when you have somebody great like that, you never really heard any negative about this guy. I mean, co-stars, other actors, everybody loved him. It's rough when you lose one of our own like that. So rest in power, Mr. Witherspoon.
Yes, sir.
As we get started, we'll go ahead and play a little clip. Just as a token of remembrance to John Witherspoon. So let me cue that up for you guys. Yeah, we'll get that popping for you immediately, expeditiously, as T.I. would say.
Do 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 do.
What the hell are you doing?
I was trying to supplement some whole music since we're having issues with this video.
That didn't sound like no whole music. That sounded like a 70s love ballad.
70s porn movie. Music.
70s love ballad right there.
Let's try that again.
Trying to impress you, you know that.
I know. Now, where'd you get the mushroom shirt? I got to know.
Well, the secret
Looks
is
like we
you
got
to
some editing to
coordinate.
do.
Most people don't coordinate. See, you got to coordinate.
Oh, you got on a mushroom belt. Gerard, did you know your pops had a mushroom belt on?
Yes. All they do is cook pork. I bet we eating everything on the pig, from the rooter to the tutor.
The whole pig, huh?
You didn't marry me for my cooking.
You got that right, baby. That's why we got little Junior over there. Bang, bang, bang. Your dog, that's your pussy whip. Why don't you? Reverse it. Don't be pussy whip. Whip that pussy. Look. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, goodness. What's for dessert? Wow.
Yeah, man. Respect to Mr. John Witherspoon, man. As we sat here and went through some of the videos, and I was looking at them today, throughout the day, just looking for some content. Shit, man, you forget how funny people are until you actually sit there and you look at them and you're like, damn, that shit,
Yeah.
Person was funny. So yeah, man, big loss.
Yeah.
Big loss. Too bad, because apparently supposedly there was another Friday that was supposed to be getting filmed again, right? I don't know if you guys heard anything of that.
Yeah, I heard that they were attempting to do another Friday, and it was possible that that Chris Tucker would be involved in it as well to kind of go back to the roots. I mean, I doubt that his passing puts that in jeopardy, but it would have been nice to see him in there since he was there for the original. He was a big part of the original, even though he had a small role. He was still a big part of the original.
Shit, he had a huge role in the Friday series, man. I mean, not to take away from what you're saying, but just those memorable moments. Being Craig's father and everything as it progressed. But Ice Cube definitely had came out, said he wanted to do a fourth Friday on the 25th year anniversary. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, man. I mean, it'll be really tough to pull off at this point, because even if they were to go forward, they would have to make some kind of mention or something, and it just won't be right. But the other good thing is, though, we do know the new season of the Boondocks had wrapped. So I believe he probably is on that, so that'll be good. But yeah, no Friday, man.
Yeah, I don't watch Boondocks. That shit to me is just not funny. That shit's fucking for what some people say Tyler Perry is, that's what the Boondocks is to me. The shit is so fucking what's the word I'm looking, stereotypical and fucking ignorant to me. It's just not funny. But I mean a lot of people do find it funny. I
agree.
I find it funny.
It is what it is. But yeah, I mean he played in shit. I'm just looking at his filmography, and God, he's been in a lot of freaking films, man, from 82 different films that he's been in. Just going back to, let's see, when did it looks like IMDb is showing me his career going all the way back to 77. He was on the Richard Pryor show. So yeah, man. 91 with Robert Townsend, 92 on Def Comedy Jam. He's been on late shows over and over and over and over. And then you get into, where he was on the Fresh Prince, Wayne Brothers.
Would you say, EJ?
I don't remember him on the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, he was on an episode with he was like the father of a girl that Will was dating, and they had that one episode where like he was a pilot and he took Will out to fly. And he was like, "What are you trying to do with my daughter?" And then every time Will answered, he's like, "Wrong answer," and he would like make the plane turn sideways and shit.
Yeah, man. Yo, he was on just about all the black shows that you can think of from back in the day. All right. So he was on What's Happening. He was on Good Times, right? 227.
Oh,
He was
227.
227. He was on Amen. If you remember Amen.
Yeah.
Shit. Frank's Place. He was in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, House Party. Obviously, you remember him being the neighbor, and
I'm gonna get you sucker.
that shit was hilarious.
Hollywood Shuffle.
I don't remember him, and I'm gonna get you sucker.
Yeah. He was
He was the
definitely-
Reverend.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, at the funeral. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Shit,
man.
he was married to the same lady.
Ain't nobody here for Leroy Brown.
Robinson Witherspoon,
I thought
married to her since 1988 to now.
Damn.
And they're talking about how much of a father figure he was on and off the screen.
Yeah.
And then Regina King tweeting out because she shared time with him on Friday to the Boondocks, because she plays Riley and she plays two of the characters' voices, and he's in that show. And she's like, my dad, my grandpa, my comedic inspiration. That's crazy, man. It's just it's nuts, man. Like Steve kind of said, one of them dudes that everything good, everything good you heard about him,
Yeah. One of the few black actors, going back to however long that didn't have any type of conspiracies or any type of just negative news or anything like that. So he's gonna be missed, man. He was a funny dude.
And to be a comedian too, because a lot of comedians his age from his era, had pretty dark and checkered personal lives. You know what I mean? Due to just drinking and just other turmoil in their personal lives.
Right.
So this dude just seemed to be all the way live, man. I'm looking at him in the Jigga video. What was that joint? Ah, man, I can't think of the damn name of the song. But when Remy's in the system, that joint, and he had the bad model in there. He's all over this video. I can't even remember.
I just want to love you, or I just want to love you.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, man. He was anytime he popped up, you knew him, and even just hearing him, like if you heard his voice, it was so distinctive. His delivery, so he was good, man. He was good.
Man.
So, Game 7 of the World Series, on a lighter note, is up and running. I'm representing the Washington Nationals with my old school Montreal Expos
Saw that
hat. Throwback status. Astros are up right now, 2-0. So, but we'll see how that goes. What else we got, man? Let's see. Let's get into some. Let's get into some topics, some shits, man. VP, you sent something to us that we said we would go ahead and we thought was a good opportunity to discuss because of the change and how commercial this topic is. Could you give us a little bit about it? I didn't really get to look at the link or click on the video or anything, so give us a little something on it.
Yeah, so basically this was in reference to the new trend of doing gender reveals to reveal the gender of your expected baby. And long gone are the days of serving cupcakes and then you bite into it and there's either blue or pink filling. Now people are doing like the most extreme shit. I saw one about a year ago where they went like on the side of a lake and threw something in an alligator's mouth, and then when it snapped down on it, it revealed the color. Last year in Arizona, they had a border patrol officer who used a IED, or an improvised explosive device, to reveal the gender of his and his wife's baby, and that IED caused the explosion caused a wildfire in Arizona, that cost $8 million, and they had to use 800 firefighters to put it out. This dude got fined. I think it was like $4 or $5 million or something like that in fines that he has to pay. This dude's a fucking border patrol officer. So only way he's paying that if he starts sneaking motherfuckers in. And the most
cocaine in.
Right.
You mean across the border of Colorado, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the most recent one, the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is the first time that we know of that one of these gender reveals has become deadly. So there was a woman in Iowa named Pamela Craymeyer. I hope I'm saying her name right. She passed away from a pipe bomb that they used as a gender reveal. Now, it wasn't supposed to be a pipe bomb, but when they were taping up the gunpowder to whatever they were using for the explosion, the tape got put in the wrong place, according to authorities, which caused it to then become a pipe bomb. These folks were standing 45 yards away, but because of the power of the explosion, it sent debris flying at this woman. It hit her and killed her. So, what I guess the question that I wanted to throw on the cast is this shit out of control? Like, do we need to go back to the cupcake days?
Go ahead, EJ.
I mean, VP, your kid is old enough to where, gender reveals weren't a thing. So is my oldest. I would say pretty much both my two oldest kids, except for my third. And even around that time, 5 years ago, I don't feel like it was a big thing. But I mean, it's let's just be toxic here. It's all the women's fault. Blame it all on the women. I mean, it's another one of those things that, why do you need this shit? Like, have a fucking baby shower like people used to do 30, 40 fucking years ago and call it a day. Like, like, I gotta have a gender reveal. So not only do you have, in most cases, a baby shower, you also now have a gender reveal party. Like, it's just too much. And people are some people are doing gender reveals to the extent that they're doing weddings, and they don't have that kind of money. Yeah. Same thing with kids in high school proms these days, man. It's just, social media and women are the cause of this. People trying to outdo their friends, go viral, do all these different things, to reveal the gender of a kid. Like, we're gonna know the gender when the kid comes. Like, it's gone too far in way before these antics. It's gone too far with the whole conception of the gender reveal party. That used to be the purpose of a goddamn baby shower. You go to a baby shower and they might cut the cake and show that it's blue or pink, or if the couple doesn't want to know, then nobody knows. Or, you know what I mean? You get unisex color type stuff. Like, it's just stupid. And I blame women in social media. That's all I got.
Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know if I blame women. We can blame women. Essentially, we can blame women for everything that happens. I mean, going all the way back to Eve, old trifling ass. But I think you do have a point, man. Everything has become so fucking commercial nowadays, especially with social media, with the internet, with motherfuckers thinking that it's necessary to try and show shit for other people. Like, everyone has to updo or overdo it to show other people that, hey, I'm doing so much better, or I'm so creative, or I came up with this or that, right? Like you said, going back in the day for gender reveals, when they first popped off, you had the fucking bullshit cupcake shit, or just a party where motherfuckers would be like, hey guys, it's a boy, you know what I'm saying? Or even when it first started, you buy an outfit. You buy a male outfit, you buy a woman outfit, or a boy outfit, girl outfit. You give it to somebody at the party. You let them wrap which one it is, and then you open the fucking gift, and whichever one it is, the boy outfit or girl outfit, you know what you got. You know what I'm saying? Now you got fucking pyrotechnics involved. You got, it's just stupid. It's out of fucking control. Everything is so goddamn commercial, and everybody got to show up for their fucking bullshit ass friends who don't give a fuck about them. So yeah, like EJ said, it's women's fault. Just like this fucking bullshit ass fucking the push fucking gifts that they got. Like, what the fuck do men get?
What's that? Push gifts.
Vari, your wife put me onto this shit. We were at bowling one day before Ash was born, and she's like, well, what did you get her as a push gift? And I'm like,
okay. I know what that is.
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, you don't know what a push gift is? And I'm like, no, the fuck is a push gift?
Yeah.
Apparently you give them a gift for fucking pushing. Listen, our four mothers ain't never would have been looking for no goddamn push gift, no fucking gender reveal. Matter of fact, they would have been happy with a fucking dishwasher or a fucking washing machine or dryer, as opposed to having to fucking get splinters from putting the clothes on the goddamn clothesline. So yes, to EJ's point, is women's fucking fault.
And you know what's crazy, man, because it's two ways you can look at it. It's two ways you can look at it, right? You can say that, well, I'm gonna tell you, this generation of women will say, well, y'all mothers put up with everything and anything and blah, blah, blah. But I say the exact opposite. The mothers of our generation, they had their roles. They were strong as fuck. Nobody questioned, challenged. Well, I mean, of course, there are many households where that wasn't happening, and there was something else going on where the male was maybe a scumbag and oppressed the woman, right? But a lot of black mothers that I grew up around that were doing their thing, they ran shit with an iron fist, and they did all of that, and they worked 40 hours a week and pushed out the baby and smoked and had a drink at the same fucking time. You know what I mean? And it's like, they didn't ask for shit. And to this day, they don't need shit. They got everything that they wanted, and they did it 5 times their way. And today we got push gifts and gender reveals and all this other shit. I just, and considerably, black men are being better fathers than motherfuckers were back then. So it's like, god damn, what do we have to do here to just have a fucking baby shower and have the baby in peace? I just don't know.
Yeah, man, you're right. And another issue that gets talked about less is that, people are definitely doing this shit for social media and clickbait. I'm trying to go viral on Facebook or IG or whatever, right? But you're doing all of this shit, right? You done spent, let's say you're married, you done spent 20 grand on a wedding for people who aren't even really your real friends. Then you spend another, 5, 6, 7 grand on a baby shower. Then you're doing the gender reveal where you got to go out and buy fucking explosives and all this other kind of shit. And you done put yourself in this deep ass financial hole before your kid is even here. And now you got to dig deeper just to take care of your child, So just from a financial aspect, that shit just seems mad irresponsible, yo. Let alone the damage that you can do, as I talked about previously, with the guy in Arizona who started the wildfire, or this woman in Iowa who was killed by this fucking explosion, So they got to cut this shit out, man.
Yeah, that explosion shit is a little excessive.
Yeah.
It's a lot excessive. It's crazy. There's no need for it, man. There is no fucking. There was another one, as a matter of fact. You showed me that one, VP. But then last night when I was with Aaron, with your wife bowling, she had showed me another one. I wasn't sure if it was the same one. I'm almost 90% sure it was a different one. That there was another fucking individual who ended up getting injured, not dead or not killed, like like the one that brought the topic up. But yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just out of control. It's out of control.
Very much
People,
so.
People just can't keep it simple, man.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
And then, and like EJ said, used to do the gender reveal at the damn baby shower, or if you wanted people to, get you a baby shower gift for the gender, you would let them know like an invitation or something like that. Even if the parents didn't know, like you had somebody coordinating it, they would let the folks know in the invitation, like, yo, it's a boy, so bring boy gifts, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But now, like, pyrotechnics and fucking IEDs and all this kind of crazy shit. What if you got somebody at your fucking baby shower who was in the Marines or the Army and they got like severe PTSD or some shit, and you got this fucking explosion going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about how that could like traumatize a motherfucker and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Or cause a nigga to start snapping necks or some shit and just go crazy. Now the fucking pregnant lady get her neck snapped and shit, and fucking
logically, why the fuck do you need to blow some shit up to reveal a baby's gender?
Exactly.
Like just if you're not, and especially if it's not a professional, like who the fuck thinks of this shit? And then I feel bad for if there was a guy involved. Well, I'm not even going to talk about this incident because somebody lost their lives. But I feel bad for the guys that have to deal with this shit because, of course, the woman is hormonal and she hates him, but it's all good. It's all justified because she's pregnant. Did y'all ever notice that shit only happens to the person they're having the child with? But everyone else, they're fine. Like, is this selective hormonal rage? I don't know. But anyway, he's got to sit through this bullshit. And then the dude that had to kick out the millions of dollars, like, now he's looking at you like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And how do you then plea with that county in which you needed 800 firefighters in overtime? How do you now plea with them? You know what I mean? You know how that shit be, man. Wife one of the greatest, nah, motherfucker, you on your own. Like, have a cookout like we all did, fuck,
exactly,
man.
yo. Have a cookout, fucking barbecue some ribs, some chicken, get a couple steaks, have a cake. You all set. You know what I'm saying? If you got a pool, even better. Maybe you put some color in that bitch and turn the water blue or pink or whatever the fuck. Call it a day.
Right. Good idea. Good idea for Steve's next one.
But the fucking pyrotechnics and goddamn skydivers and all that that shit is too much, man.
Fucking ridiculous. I don't know one guy. I'd be hard pressed to find one guy that is with a woman. So I'm not going to speak on, other marriages that I don't personally have direct experience with. I don't know one guy in this situation that would propose this idea himself and be going along with this shit happily. I don't know one guy that would do that shit.
I don't
We're just not even pragmatically made that way. We're just like, all right, man, whatever.
Yeah, get your friends over, get some fucking alcohol, and let's tell them like, simple shit. Let's fucking make this shit cost about $100. We grill some fucking burgers, dogs, some steaks, some chicken.
Exactly.
Instead, we gotta fuck, and then like for a fucking balloon that probably normally costs like $4.99, you paying about $34 because they put some bullshit pink fucking pixie dust in that shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fuck out of here, man. Live within your goddamn means, assholes. Oh shit. So yeah. What else we got, man? What else we got this evening?
on the jacket.
Oh,
Let's see here. Oh man, do you guys want to go NCAA and player likeness, or Michael Cheese comments on what you call it, on
SNL.
Jenner?
Michael Che.
Same thing. Che.
I didn't hear him, man. I would love to hear that shit. Let me see if I can find a clip of that shit. Y'all go ahead and chop it a little bit. Keep us busy for a moment.
I mean, VP's been a little spicy recently, man, because for the feminist activists on the pod, he looked over the scenario and he pretty much threw his hands up. I was kind of surprised in this instance. VP,
Man, I watched that Saturday Night Live clip, and I thought it was funny, And then so when you brought up the topic of talking about Che, I'm thinking like, about what? Like I haven't heard anything. You know what I'm saying?
Savage.
And so I went back and watched the clip again, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess this is what they're talking about, but to me, it's bullshit. Essentially, he's making a joke about how Kanye used to be one way and now he's a different way, since he's saying he's like a born again Christian or whatever. And so he sets up the joke by saying, 5 years ago, this used to be Bruce Jenner, and now it's Kaitlyn or whatever. And people are like outraged, saying you dead named her, which I didn't even know was a fucking thing. Like dead naming means like for
that was the big thing I took. Yep.
Yeah, like people who've transitioned, you calling them by the old name, so it's not Bruce anymore. Bruce is dead. It's Kaitlyn, and you're like, wait a minute. So you can't state a fact that 5 years ago this person was named Bruce. Like that's out of bounds. Like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like like I don't know, that shit seems outrageous to me. Again, like we talked about on the last pod, it seems like you have people who are professionally offended, and it's like they were sitting on the internet, and it was almost like one of them cartoons where the siren started running around like, oh, somebody said some shit. Let's get into action, know, and they started going off, and normal folks are like, I don't see what the fucking problem is.
Yeah, so, and that was the thing.
You see, I got myself fucked up.
Yeah, and that was the thing for me that I found to be super interesting was the dead naming piece. So it's like I understand there's elements of we gotta accept what this person is doing now. We got to accept what this person is doing now and et cetera. But it's just like, at what point are we able to call you what we knew you as? I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's got to be sensitivity realized on both sides. Like, yo, I knew you when, I knew you when you were Steve, when you were Rick, and then it's like dead naming, like, at what point? I don't know, man. I guess everyone has the autonomy in this world to do what they want to do with their own lives. But do you really get to shame me for knowing who you were? Like, especially Jenner, you were Bruce for like forever. Like,
not just Bruce, you were a hero as Bruce.
Yeah. So I have to erase my memories of you. Like, why can't you acknowledge who you were at one point and move forward? I don't know, man. I don't know. But the dead naming, I was like, dead naming? We got a name for every fucking thing now? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It was just a little different for me. I don't know.
I agree, man. And it's like, what if Kaitlyn Jenner gets in a car accident, right? Yeah, you go to the doctor and they be like, talk to me about your medical history. Am I supposed to stop like at day one when she transitioned? So when the docs like talk to me about the medical history, and be like, yeah, well, I don't know, our cholesterol's been a little high the last 5 years. Other than that, I don't know. Like where does this shit stop? You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy, man. And like EJ saying to that point, if you know the person as one way, and especially somebody as high profile as Bruce Jenner was, if y'all sitting there shooting the shit talking about the Olympics in 2020, are you not supposed to be like, yo, man, I remember when you fucking killed it in that triathlon or whatever? Is that shit gone now? Should I erase it from my memory? It's crazy, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, and like you can live the way you want now. We can respect who you are now,
right?
But there are memories and times and things like you're saying that we were fond of. Like, is it really dead naming? Do we really have to look at it in a negative way? Like, why does who you used to be hurt you so? Like, that we have to forget it as well. I guess that's what I'm wondering. Like, I don't understand that piece. And I mean, of course, I'm not gonna know because I'm ignorant to it. But I would really love to know, like, where does that come from? Why is it that way? I don't know.
Why do we have to tiptoe around shit like this? Like, I mean, I get it, man. Our society is in a place right now that is just out of control, man. There's no fucking reason why someone who was born a fucking man, because they decided that they feel better being a woman, hey, more power to you. But guess what? As far as we know you, as far as we've ever been told, or as we've known you in the past, there's fucking repeats of you as a man on TV, of a TV show, a reality show, Keeping Up with the fucking Kardashians, where you were a fucking man, right? Where they were calling you dad. So I don't understand how someone can say that it's degrading, insensitive, or in any way that, what he said was incorrect. I mean, it's a fucking joke, man. It's comedy. Like, you get this upset about, what you consider transphobic, but you don't get upset about motherfuckers making nigger jokes, right? When you got fucking people like Louis C.K. up there talking about nigger, nigger, nigger and shit like that, motherfuckers I didn't see no outrage over that. The only people that were outraged about that were other black people. You know what I'm saying? And even you had fucking black people like Chris Rock who were standing by him, because it's fucking comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, man. There's dudes out there that are white dudes that are fucking super hood. They chilled all fucking black people. They got fucking black kids, black spouses and shit like that. And they won't drop the fucking M-bomb. You know what I'm saying? Out of respect. But you got motherfuckers dropping that shit thinking it's a joke, and they're not even a part of that type of culture. They're not even familiar with it. They don't hang out with those people besides, in their professional life. I don't see why we're tiptoeing around. You're gay. You're gay. You were born a man. You're a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what you decided to do, if you decided to go see a surgeon, whatever parts you got cut off, you were a motherfucking man. You know what I'm saying? You were born a man. You're a man. Whatever you choose to live your life as, you can date whoever you want, but that's the shit that get people fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's wrong if you don't fucking introduce yourself and tell somebody what your history was, and then they find out. You know what I'm saying? It's all fun and games, and you approach homie and you're like, yeah, I'm so and so, I'm Justina. You know what I'm saying? But you were born Justin. When this motherfucker finds out that you're motherfucking Justin and he busts your ass, he's wrong.
That is an interesting point. I think personally, yeah, I think that should be a requirement of some kind. That you should be able to tell someone, what you were, what your gender was, if you had made a switch. I think it's important for that person to know. It's like your sexual history, but I mean, again, people aren't as cautious with that in any right, regardless. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. That's something that's That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough because you are taking the opportunity for someone to decide whether or not they want to engage with you. Granted, you're making this change. You've made this change for yourself and you wanted to do it. But if you're not letting me know up front, you're not giving me the opportunity to decide honestly and truthfully if I want to then be with you. You
On
know?
the flip side of it, you got like the Rachel Dolezal shit. She identified as a fucking black woman. She's president of fucking NAACP. Like, she was representing left and right, and motherfuckers were outraged about that shit. You know what I'm saying? But nobody said that she, they never said that she was wrong, right? It was us. It was Black Twitter, the cancel culture. It was us that was doing that shit. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Like we've talked about so many times, is just people that are frustrated for no apparent reason, making themselves fucking, trying to make themselves relevant in a way or in a sense.
Yeah.
So
it's a real fine line. It's a real sensitive time these days, obviously. But yeah, man, it's I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yep. But yeah, man. So we'll see, man. I think, I saw today when I was reading or when I was listening to the radio, they were talking about people were calling for him to be fired and shit like that. Going back to Michael Che. Dude's hilarious, man, and he's as real as it fucking gets. He clowns about everything, but he's got some real fucking topics, and I think for people to feel this type of way, it's okay to be offended in America. Because you're offended doesn't mean somebody has to lose their fucking job.
Yeah, it's funny too that this happened this week because Obama's doing his summit at the Obama Foundation, and I don't know if this particular issue came up, but the issue overall of like cancel culture came up when somebody asked him a question, and he gave this really long answer. He's not out there that much publicly, so like to see him talk about this and give like such a strong answer was it was really good. It was impactful, and he talked about how people feel like activism is sitting around waiting for somebody to say just the wrong thing so they can come out and pounce on Twitter and social media and have this person canceled instead of engaging in dialogue and seeing where we can understand each other's points of view. And maybe you change that person's mind or their heart or whatever, or maybe you at least get them to understand instead of just saying you said this and so now you're done forever, you should never be able to do anything. And I just think that that's fucked up, and it kind of harkens back to I don't know if y'all saw the Chappelle, the new Netflix joint, where he was talking about doing the impersonations, and he was like, he does the one like, hey, duh, if you say anything and I ever find out about it, it doesn't matter how long ago, I'm gonna ruin your fucking career, da da da. And it kind of harkens back to that, where it seems like, people just think, no matter what anybody said, when they said it, what was socially acceptable during the time they said it, just as long as you said it, I'm gonna judge you by today's standards, and you're fucking done. And I just think that shit is fucked up. And especially, some people say fucked up shit and they try to hide behind comedy. Like, I'm not familiar with the Louis C.K. thing like Steve was mentioning, but I remember when the dude from Seinfeld was doing that stand-up and he was saying nigger. Now, that wasn't a part of a joke. Somebody was heckling him in the crowd, and he starts going off, nigger, this, da da da. You know what I'm saying? So for that,
nigger.
yeah. So something like that, I'm like, okay, I can't look at that and be like, oh, I mean, he was joking. He's a comedian, you know? So like we talked about last podcast, the intent matters, you know? And in this case, it just seems like Michael Che was making a joke, you know? It didn't seem like he was trying to shit on trans people, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and I guess some people in their reasoning. So here's another thing that could segue in a mini conversation. I guess the reasoning for people making their transition could be a large part of it. Maybe people, feel like they're doing that to kill whoever they used to be, because of whatever they may have gone through. I'm not sure. But then there's some people maybe who just do it because that's who they believe they are. And I don't know that they still embrace their past. But here's another thing to transition from this.
But if you don't embrace your past, do I have to forget about it?
That was my question.
Especially if you're a public person. If you're a public person like Jenner, there's one thing for, Leroy down the street to transition. I don't fucking know him. So who gives a shit?
Leroy's mom pushed his ass out for 9 to 10 hours and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, parents need to be sensitive, but like I said earlier, and like you alluded to, you can't expect me to want to wash away who you was to me. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta, yeah. But transitioning to something else though. A homegirl of mine posted a picture on Instagram, and it says something to the degree like, stop enhancing your ass and your boobs for that dude, dumbass chick, or something like that. And I said, but if you talk to a woman about getting plastic surgery or tummy tucks or enhancements or whatever, if you actually talk to somebody who does that, a lot of times they say, well, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else.
All right.
And she responded and was like, them bitches be lying. So I just found it interesting how, on the one hand, remember when TLC was talking about how you gotta be pretty and think about yourself and everything like that, and don't try to change for these guys. But now, on the flip side, women are saying, well, I ain't doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. I just found that so interesting. Like, and the meme said something like, stop enhancing yourself, get you somebody who likes your roles or something the way they are or whatever. I just found that dynamic so interesting, how we had a shift from going from that point in time where women were saying, this is not good to do, don't do this for the man, be natural. And now, you have women saying, oh, I ain't doing this for no attention, I'm doing it for me. I just found it interesting because I personally have known some people to do that, and they've given that response. And it was just interesting to me. Just talking about the transitioning made me think of it.
I think that people or women who get plastic surgery and say, I'm doing it for me, et cetera, I think that they're lying to themselves. They may believe that, right? But if you have a woman who is flat chested and she gets her breast enhanced, right? Yeah, she may be doing it for self-esteem issues, but she's doing that because of the societal pressure put on her to make her think that having bigger breasts is, what people like and what people want to see, to give her self-confidence in public. So yeah, she's doing it for her own self-esteem, but she's doing it so that way she could have a look around other people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's as easy just for them to say, I'm doing it for me,
Yeah. To me, again, this also goes back to social media and what people want to show, right? Before social media, before it was so fucking relevant, there were people that got got work done and shit, but it wasn't as saturated as now, right? It wasn't as common. Like, everybody has to do it because everyone's trying to make a brand of themselves off of something simple, as opposed to fucking bitches getting up and going to get a job. They rather get their ass pumped or you know what I mean, or they rather get their titties done and fucking, you know, go on Snapchat or Instagram and try and get followers off of that, or get niggas to fucking subscribe to watch them do shit like jump up and down with their titties out and shit like that. And we as dumbass dudes, we out here paying for that shit, you know, because we're a visual fucking creature. Like we like what we see, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing women don't understand too, is like there ain't no fucking emotional attachment to us looking at that type of shit. Like when if we look at porn or we look at somebody on Snapchat or what have you, now if you're paying for it and you're in a committed relationship, then you're a fucking weirdo. You know. But I mean, to look at it, you know, that's the problem. Women and you know, for people to try and blame society and be like, oh well, they don't get a fair shot, and you know, men are, you know, given different opportunities and yada yada yada. But these bitches ain't even out trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, go fucking grind, man. Go to school. Like, how many of these bitches, these women that are out here doing that shit, have made an attempt to go get a degree? You know, or you know, go take a class in even shit, something as simple as fucking real estate. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's an easier way to make money off of your physique and not have to be butt ass naked in front of people. You know, it's like public speaking, right? Like people that can't do public speaking in front of people can do podcasts or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like these broads, they don't feel comfortable going and standing in front of motherfuckers on the stage or safe doing it, you know. So they do it on the internet, and that's what it comes down to. They're not doing that shit for themselves. Yeah. They're doing that shit. Some of them are doing it for money, and the other ones are doing it just so other people could be like, oh wow, look, she had a great transformation. You know what I'm saying? Bitch, you didn't fucking have a transformation. Like, your titties don't get bigger when you work out. You know what I'm saying? Your ass don't get bigger when you work out. You might lose some weight and you might tone up and shit, but let me tell you something. We can tell, like, motherfuckers can tell.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing too that they have to realize is that it's something out there for everybody, right? And men like women in all shapes and sizes, all tones, you know. And so, you know, you don't have to be out there with this fucking big ass bubble booty and huge ass titties and shit. There's chicks out there who are, you know, big girls doing the same shit. They might not make as much bread as the chicks who get all the work done or whatever, but you know, they still out there doing their thing or whatever, because there's people like some of everything. You know what I'm saying? So what's the point of doing all that crazy shit? And then you look at some of the risk of plastic surgery, and I think that this is something in our culture that's not talked about enough, like how harmful this shit can be. You look at somebody like Kanye West's mom, who passed away getting plastic surgery, you know, and so
going against doctors, you know, orders,
right? And from what I've read, that's why she ended up going down to, I believe it was Brazil, I want to say,
either that or DR or something like that.
Yeah, I read that's why she went there, was because the doctors here didn't want to do it because she needed to wait.
Too old.
Yeah, and so she went down there where they were like, yeah, you got the bread, sure, get on the table. And then she passed away from that shit. And so, you know, having that look, that shit comes at a cost, and it's not just financial, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And you know, it's and the people that I know that got this work done, I mean, it's like, yeah, I want to get this done on my stomach to kind of make it flat. It's kind of like, yo, you weren't big in the first place. You didn't really have anything wrong with you in the first place. You had people supporting you, telling you that there was nothing wrong with you. And, you know, just go through the pain and the anguish to do that, and just to risk that, to go under. I'm just like, yo, like, I will never understand that psyche. You know, like, I know there's some women that get breast reductions because physically they need to, their backs and, you know, pain and things like that. That's, you know, that's largely different. But I mean, yo, I've seen people get minor things, and I just couldn't fathom, what the logic is behind that. And it's kind of sad that societally we're so self-conscious. We're so worried about what the other person thinks of us and our appearance that we would risk, bodily injury. And I don't think people too think for the long haul. One of the people that I know that got some work done, didn't have children, and they're pretty young. And getting something done to your stomach before having children, depending on your age, at some point that's going to be putting you up there for high risk pregnancy. So it's like, man, people I don't know, man, we as a people, we just got to get back to valuing more shit that matters, as Steve always says.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
indeed, man. Indeed. The Nationals are up 3-2, bottom of the 7th right now.
Man, that was fast.
I don't know if I could take them winning this shit, bro. Like, I hate the Astros for beating the Yankees. I also love the Mets and the fucking Nats winning. Well, I'll never hear the end of it, but fuck that. Just fuck the World Series. Fuck it. Fuck the World Series, man. Fuck it. But yeah. So NCAA moving to get players paid for their likeness and all of that good stuff.
I think
see that?
Florida, DeSantis, the governor here, said that he was signing a bill, right, VP?
He said that he was supportive of a bill like in the same vein as the one out in California that would allow players to get profit from their likeness. I don't think that that's going to come to pass in Florida, especially with this NCAA ruling here. But the thing that I would caution on is that I was reading a piece. I was working still, so I couldn't get deep into it. But there was a piece in the Nation magazine that talked about how they put out this announcement, but when you start, like they always say, the devil's in the details, and the Nation magazine was making it seem like this thing is not as good as it's being chalked up to be. And so I would kind of say, I think it's going on the right path, but watch this space. Let's just kind of see what happens once the rules are formulated and put out there across the board. So, I'm glad we're here, but I'm going to stay tuned.
I personally think it's bullshit. I personally think it's all horse shit. The NCAA has kind of imparted on all three divisions of sports. So 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if they delineated because one still has 1 AA versus 1A, whatever. But I think it's, well, actually, I guess 1 AA really doesn't even exist anymore. But I think it's all bullshit. They're forcing the divisions. The NCAA is forcing the heads of those divisions to figure out ways to pay players for these things. And when you look at just the video game alone, and you're talking about player likeness, you could easily, until the players get rights, until this goes into more of a professional realm where the players can get rights to say EA Sports cannot make this college football game without having their names in the game, specifically saying who they are. EA Sports or any other entity can come out and have Alabama have a totally white quarterback with number 14, and he throws lefty, but his name will be Marcus Tunk. and you know it's not as if they're guaranteed that they're gonna get anything like that. You know, as long as if NCAA comes back out with the game, EA Sports rather comes back out with the game, and they get the official licensing ability to partner with the NCAA, there's no guarantee that they're gonna pay Tua for making a guy at number 13, but making him completely white and maybe making him right-handed. You know what I mean? Like the battle to prove that you're using my likeness is going to be so difficult. It was done in the past. They tried to do this in the past, and there's so many ways around it. If you really want to pay these guys, allow them, if you're gonna make a video game of me, allow them to put my name on there, to use my government, and ensure that I get paid. Now let's also think Division 2 players aren't in these video games.
Mm-hmm.
So where you're telling the D2 division and the D3 division to figure it out about the likeness and etc. When are they gonna have an opportunity to make money off their likeness? A lot of D2 schools don't sell jersey by jersey by jersey like that. You know, they might have a generic one number jersey for their guys, and that's it. You know, they're not in the video games. So this is just another bullshit way for the NCAA to kind of quiet down all of the chatter of saying we need to pay athletes, you know, for play. And it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And honestly, it's impossible for the smaller programs to do. Let's face it, man. This really only truly applies to the larger programs that are paying their coaches millions and millions of dollars, that have stadiums that are bigger than NFL stadiums, that are charging alumni boatloads of money. It's almost impossible to do, to really disperse a lot of money throughout these divisions and everything else in the different sports. So I mean, the NCAA, it exists. It claims to be a nonprofit, but it makes millions of dollars. And really, you guys just need to allocate some money to these players at some big schools that make some profit, you know. But I don't think this thing ever gets done right, ever.
And part of it too, EJ, they may, you know, I believe I agree with you, especially in reference to the smaller programs and the D2 and D3 schools or whatever they call them now under this new system. Those guys, they're not going to be on TV. They're not going to be in video games, etc. They have that one generic jersey that might have a number 1, or maybe, you know, the number is like the year that the school was founded. Like if it was 72, it's a 72 jersey. That's the only one they sell, you know? So I definitely agree with you there. The thing I would say is that maybe, you know, since this money is running through the NCAA, but more of it probably runs through the programs themselves, especially the bigger schools like Michigan and Alabama, and, you know, the new hot school now, which is Clemson, you know, et cetera. You know, they would have to maybe figure out a way to not collectively bargain, but to like the way the sports leagues do it, where they divide up the TV money, you know, between the different teams in the NBA or NFL, or et cetera. But regardless of that, like I said before in the previous podcast, these are universities. These universities have economics departments. They have professors. They have people who sit around and think shit up. So figure something out. You know, this shit is not rocket science, you know. But also to your point where you talked about how they're going to figure out a way around it. While you were talking, the first thing that popped in my head was, I'm not sure if you guys saw the 30 for 30 on ESPN about fantasy sports. And they talked about the guys who invented fantasy. And it was a group of like 6-7 guys. And they did it like it was fantasy baseball. And they figured out a way to come up with points for hits and RBIs and home runs, et cetera, et cetera. And they used to play amongst each other. One of the guys he worked at a newspaper, and he wrote a little article about how, oh, me and my friends, we get together and we do this thing. And I forget, it had this crazy name like Rotary Club or some shit like that. People read the story, and then they started doing it themselves. And next thing you know, you start seeing news stories about it, and people all around the country are doing it. These dudes finally realize, oh shit, there's money to be made here, because people are selling magazines on, here's some tips for your draft and all this kind of shit like that. Here's a draft board, all that kind of stuff that we use today, right? These dudes realize there's money to be made here. And so they start sending ESPN and all these other places that do fantasy cease and desist letters. Like, yo, you can't be using our Rotary Club shit or whatever it was called. And they were like, okay, cool. We won't use that no more. We'll call it fantasy sports. Boom. Loophole done. And now fantasy is a $3 to $5 billion a year industry. And these dudes don't see one penny from it.
Yeah. And then, so the other part too, man, that you got to think about, and I think VP, you were kind of getting at it, is, when they decide to do this, like the Maddens or, whatever the basketball game would be, or not Madden, NCAA football, they need to contract it by school, right? And the reason I say that is because nobody gives a fuck about the fucking center or the left guard's name on, on a Notre Dame, unless it's somebody that's big, right? People are looking for Tua. Like, people want to see Tua and see that name in the game when they're playing, with their team of choice, like whether it's, running back, whether it's wide receiver, nobody's checking for that second wide receiver. No one's checking for the tight ends. The people that are the diehard fans, that may play the games, but it's not like a Madden where you can hand that to a fucking 12-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid, and they're going to know a Tom Brady. They're going to know a Julian Edelman. They're going to know a Dak Prescott and a fucking Ezekiel Elliott. And they're going to, because you hear those names constantly, right? When you watch the broadcast on Saturday, when you're watching college sports or college football, you don't hear those names. You'll hear them say it real quick. Oh, number 75, John, blah, 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 makes the block, right? But they're not harping on these guys like they do with the NFL, like where you'll sit there and they'll be like, oh, Fletcher Cox is da 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 da, or Zach Martin is yada yada yada. You know what I'm saying? Like, the names are just not relevant. So if I'm playing with a team and I'm seeing Tua, and then it's like 78, and I'm looking at my O-line 78, 83. You know what I mean? What the fuck is the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just is stupid. And I think it was done like that even years ago when EA had the licenses for that shit, before they fucking banned them from using names. It was very similar to that. You'd play with a team, and you'd have the big name guy. You might have their name, and then everyone else was just a number. And if they were high rated, they'd have a star around them, but you didn't know who the fuck it was.
Yeah. And the guy in this whole thing that kind of like really came out of left field for me on this, and I was kind of like, what the fuck, dude, is the Clemson coach, Dabo Swinney. Where he came out and said if they start paying players, he's probably gonna quit. And I'm like, yo, like, so you're saying that this system can generate billions of dollars for the NCAA, millions of dollars for the individual universities, and then millions of dollars for these head coaches, but the players who make all of it possible can't get anything. And if they do get something, you're willing to walk away. Like what fucking world do we live in where that's looked at as a feasible option,
But motherfuckers still sign up to play for him. And he's the same guy that came out and had some shit to say about Cap when Cap was kneeling and saying, trying to basically he had said something negative about whether or not if his players were to do it or something. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, Dabo Swinney's a scumbag. I look at him and I see a guy who's probably a closet racist, and you got guys like that running these programs, Yep. Scumbags.
So while you say that, right, and I know we can continue to go on this, but not to beat a dead horse. I think where you said the closet racist thing, I know you guys kids are pretty much a little bit older. EJ, your youngest is Okay, but for the most part, you got your mom who does a lot of it, a lot of the care and stuff like that. But so I've been considering like daycare and shit, right? And then as we watch,
my mom who does a lot of the care.
Yeah, for your daughters, she watches them during the day and shit. Right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I've been looking at potentially looking at daycare and thinking about schools and shit like that, right? And when you see these closet racists and these motherfuckers that are supporters of Trump and shit like that, especially us living in a fucking red state down here, VP, the level of concern that I have for the staff, being not knowing their political background or their backing, and can they be that fucking bitch that was in CBS talking about I hate niggers and if I could kill all niggers, you know what I mean? Like to what level do you guys have that concern at the age that your kids are at? Especially, I mean, even I mean, TJ's what 12 right now, 13. He's going to be going into high school, and you're going to have to have that concern of everything, bus drivers, teachers, fucking principals, fucking after school program people, all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely something that concerns me. And, I've said it here on this podcast. I've said it in our chats. I've said it to people face to face that, racism and all of that shit didn't go away when they started letting us sit on the front of the bus, and it, people started talking about, after Obama, we live in a post-racial society, and we see today after Obama that that's clearly not the case,
Mm-hmm.
and what people have to understand, while Jim Crow laws, separate but equal, and separate water fountains and bathrooms, and black folks in the back of the bus and entering through the back of the restaurant, et cetera, whites only, all that kind of shit. While all that stuff went away, in the 60s and sometimes in the 70s, whenever your county decided to start acting right, while that stuff is in the past, Jim Crow has sons and daughters. And Jim Crow's sons and daughters, they're your loan officers who won't let you get a loan for this house, this neighborhood, or to start a small business. They're the principals who are expelling your kid from school for the most minute infraction, where other kids might get, detention or in-school suspension. Your kid's getting expelled. They're your police officers. They're your judges. They're your politicians. And people have to understand that. And you can look no further than, the disparaging rate at which black men are killed by police officers. The rate at which black students are put out of school. The rate at which black folks don't get, loans, and the criminal justice system, and on and on and on. So yeah, that is definitely something that worries me with a kid who's going to high school, to know, what are the beliefs of the people who are teaching him, and you see stories about teachers making light of slavery, when they had this during Black History Month, they had these kids pretend to be slaves and these kids pretend to be masters and all that kind of bullshit. And they couch it and say, oh, we were just trying to teach them, what it felt like. And it's like, read a fucking book. You know what I mean? You don't gotta have my kid pretending to be a goddamn slave, And so yeah, to answer your question overall, that is something that greatly concerns me.
Yeah, summarized that pretty well. And I agree. We at one point moved the children from a school in our neighborhood to they live in an area that is a little bit more predominantly white to some degree than I do, with their mom. So they used to go to the school in my neighborhood, which was an international charter type public charter school rather. So if you're zoned in that school, you go in there, where you got kids with tons of issues and kids from middle class, and they were in there, and their mom wanted to move them out of there because a lot of other little kids were, the classroom was out of control, in a lot of different ways. Me personally, I didn't want to move them, but I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. What's good for the goose, good for the gander. Y'all gonna make all these arrangements. Just don't fucking bother me. Typical dad, right? Just don't fucking bother me. Like just do what the fuck you're supposed to do. Leave me the fuck alone. Just don't jump off a bridge. And so they went to the school in their district, which was predominantly white. And even in that area, you drive around in certain places, Trump signs and all of these different things. And, my girls are very conscious of just blackness and everything. And, they said, they had encounters with kids where they had to tell them like, nah, you racist, dog, fuck you, in lack of better words. And it's sad because as a people, on one hand, we feel we got to run from our own, because you might have to deal with some ghetto shit, but you ain't got to deal with no racist shit. And then we go over there and you got to deal with the racist shit, the whole other bag. Needless to say, they're back in a black school district for other reasons. And things are going well. But I think this point, Steve, is akin to the topic of older students in what students face when they go to predominantly white institutions versus HBCUs. People choose not to go to HBCUs because they think, the services are subpar, or they hang on the little difficulties that school has, but then they face the extreme racist shit, and then they're pissed. So it's kind of, yeah, man, it's good point.
4-2 Nationals, baby. What do you, baby?
I don't have a dog in that fight, but I mean, I would like to see the Nationals just from the because it'll be historic,
Yeah, I mean, it would be their first one. Also, they were off to the worst start in history, at like 9-23. Well, in their team history, at like 9-23 at the beginning of the season, they were shit. People wrote them off. You got Bryce Harper who left. You know what I mean?
Kind of. I said, by the way, would not do dick in Philly, and I was right.
Well, he still has a long career ahead of him, but yeah, season one, by the short sample size, the small sample size we have, he hasn't done shit. But
he's overrated.
But yeah, I would like to see them win for that reason, for part of those reasons, and then of course reason B, fuck the Astros because they beat the goddamn Yankees again, and that's what that is. But yeah, man, 4-2. Let's see. It's 8th inning, so there's not much time left. They're running out of time to get. And these kids are young. Some of them are. I mean, they got a couple light veterans, some good pitching, but the kids that are making the difference, the Trey Turner, the fucking Juan Soto. These kids are young, man. Juan Soto, I think, is like a second-year guy.
That's the shit about sports, though, man. Like, and not to talk about my undefeated in the playoff Marlins, but. When you have young guys like that, they don't know they're supposed to be bad. You know what I'm saying? So they come out, they coming out there to work. And one, like I said, they don't know. Oh, we're not supposed to be here, so fuck it, we got to lay down. Two, because they're not supposed to be there, they trying to get paid. You know what I mean? They're trying to get that contract. So you see a lot of those teams like that who aren't supposed to be there, who nobody expected. Go out there and like play lights out because that's all they know to do is to play lights out to try to secure the bag,
Yep.
Yeah.
EJ, it's gonna be a fucking zoo up there if they win, man. For you.
Yeah.
DC. Yeah, man. Yeah. DC's it's gonna be nuts, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, that city's not ready for that shit. I mean, DC, around the stadium, so right around the stadium used to be a black area, and it's so gentrified now. All of the homes, the housing, the everything is just gone. It's nothing but corporate buildings, and there's local houses now.
Is it actually in DC or is it like in
Yeah,
Maryland?
no, it's in DC. It's in Southeast DC.
Okay.
And it's like, the houses are like 400 to 500,000 to $1 million now, and you're talking about an area that used to be full of black folk. So you have that element, and then motherfuckers forget like DC is still a hood, and this is Southeast no less. So the amount of attention and crime that might go down, I don't know. And a lot of these Nationals fans, there are a lot of people from DC that are Nationals fans, but a lot of these Nationals fans are transplants, or they're from Maryland and they latched on to the team and shit like that, man. So it's gonna be a zoo, man. I don't know if that city's really equipped for that shit, man, because I just don't know, man. But it's gonna be a fucking zoo, I can tell you that much. It's gonna be a fucking zoo.
At least if that happens, they're not in any fucking danger of their football team doing anything. So they don't got to worry about it getting too crazy out there.
Yeah, they're still there. Now their motherfuckers are still in Maryland, but their old stadium is in Southeast DC, probably about 12 minutes away from the National Stadium. And I personally think the Skins ain't gonna ever win again until Snyder brings them back to DC. That stadium, RFK Stadium, is just sitting there, and they could bring a lot of revenue back to the city. And I just, I don't think they're ever gonna win again until they do right by a black quarterback to make up for not RG3, to make up for not RG3. Yeah, RG3. To make up for RG3 and bring it back to DC.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I hope they pull it out. I hope the Nationals pull it out and get the job done. You see, they were booing Vice President at the game.
Yeah,
that was interesting. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to turn it around to say they were, they were saying woo woo woo, or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was funny seeing that happen. I don't know where the fuck I didn't hear about it until the next day. And some of the folks I follow, like for political news, were talking about it, and people were outraged, like, "Oh, you don't boo the president, you respect the office, et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, "Yo, I get it." And I'm one of these people, say, "Hey, you respect the office, you respect the president, et cetera, et cetera." However, I also am of the firm belief that this is still America, and the First Amendment still means something, right? We're exercising that First Amendment right now, and people have the right to speech. And if they don't like the president because of his policy or his actions or whatever, they have a right to express that, right? And also at the same time, like all of our parents have told us growing up, you're not just given respect. You have to earn respect, right? And you can't treat people like shit and then say, but you have to treat me with the utmost respect. Shit, it just don't work like that, And as much as people didn't like Obama, for whatever reason, he was black. And when he would go to some of these communities where people didn't vote for him, you still had people who said, "Hey, I met him. You know, I remember Obama went to this community called Papillion. I don't know what state it's in, but he had went to meet with this teacher. And while he was there, they met like inside of her house. He was there for like 30 minutes or so talking with her. And then she rode with him to introduce him at the speech that he was going to give. But after he left the house, he came out and he talked with some of the neighbors. And there was this old guy who him and his wife were both like retired Air Force, I want to say. And they were like, Obama came up to them. He saw like the Air Force hat and he shook their hands, chatted with him for like a minute, and then gave him a presidential coin. This guy was somebody who didn't vote for Obama. He was like, you know, I never thought in a million years I would meet the president. He's a very nice young man. And I definitely appreciate him taking some time to speak with me. You know, it's that kind of shit, right? Now, this is a dude who doesn't fuck with Obama politically, but he can acknowledge this guy is a decent human being. And Trump doesn't act that way. And so you can't act like a fucking jerk to people and then expect them to treat you with the utmost profound respect. That shit is never going to work. And so he got what he deserved. And the last thing I'll say about this is that the problem for him, I don't know if you watched the video. I've seen one of him where they just show a close up of his face. You can see where he's clapping and smiling. And then he realizes they're booing me. And his face totally changes. Mm-hmm. And part of the problem for him is that he watches Fox News all day, where they tell him that he's the greatest president in the history of not just the United States, but of the world. And everybody loves him. And that's not true. The majority of the country did not vote for you. The majority of the people do not like you, which is why your approval rating has never gone above like 44%. The majority of the country doesn't think you're doing a good job. And because you live in this bubble where the people in Fox News do nothing but kiss your ass all day, you don't realize how much people don't like you.
Well, he knows, but he's a marketing genius.
I don't think that he knows, because he's a narcissist and he's not able to process.
I don't think he gives a shit. You know, Trump is a pompous old white man from Queens, New York, who's never given a fuck. And he's always been conscious of the people. That's why I think he was smart in a lot of ways to market towards black superstars back in the day. And let's be real. At the very least, even if we toss out all of the cynical shit about him, we can say at the end of the day, this is all for the buck. Nobody's gonna get richer than him after this shit is over, yo. Yeah. Just imagine the books, the interviews. This motherfucker's a marketing genius, man. He's all we ever talk about. If nothing else, love him, hate him, or like him, he's all you ever fucking hear about 24/7, 365.
And you know, part of the problem for him too, EJ, when you talk about that from the marketing standpoint and the money after he leaves office, and let's not forget the money that he grifts from the government while in office. But I was reading this story from this guy who's he's a political journalist, but he works for a news organization overseas. I want to say in London, I believe was the country or the place. And he wrote this article where he talked about how he never knew like how bad Trump was, and not bad from like a personal standpoint, but he meant like from the way that he speaks. And he said that he came over here to cover Trump for a story. And when he listened to him talk, the way that he doesn't talk in complete sentences and he rambles on like, you know, like an old person who can't get it together, you know. And he was like, the media does a lot to clean up Trump's bullshit to make him sound coherent. And by doing that, once he leaves office and they start trying to be the first network to book him and to make sure, you know, they're interviewing him and et cetera, all the shit that he's going to do in service of securing the bag, or not securing, I mean, he's already rich, but, you know, getting more money, they're going to clean up a lot of his bullshit to repackage him and sell him to us. And I think that the media does a disservice to us, the people.
Yeah. And, you know, same thing that we said last week, you know, he's the richest person in the world and in the room. He's always going to think that he's the top dollar, top notch guy. And like you said, he's surrounded by yes men, people that are telling him that he's, the shit. When he thinks he's hot shit, but he's cold diarrhea. Or the other part of it too is, when you say he didn't get the majority of votes, and that's just the majority of votes of people that can vote, right? So think about how many fucking felons are out there and shit like that are living through it. That obviously don't like him. And I'm sure there are some that do. But the one thing that I can say though is the 401k front looks nice. the return percentages are looking pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing though, and I think that people make a huge mistake by doing this, and the media is a huge contributor to this. The stock market is not the economy. And Trump goes out and he touts it. Look at the stock market. Look how much, when he took office, it was at like 16 or 17,000. And now the Dow is at like 27,000. So yeah, my 401k, has been looking great over the almost 3 years that he's been president. But it's not like it was bad when Obama was president. It was going up all the time, after the recession ended. I'll say that. As much as Trump, but it was still going up. And I'm not trying to, but at the end of the day, the stock market is not the economy. And I think that people make a mistake in thinking that because my 401k is doing well, that means that the economy is doing well. And those two things, I don't want to say that they're not connected, but they're not connected in that way. And so I think that we make a mistake of praising him for economic prowess based on the stock market, because the economy doesn't work that way.
Indeed. So tomorrow night we've got the Arizona Cardinals, a divisional game playing against San Francisco 49ers. Do we know who's the road team?
I think the Niners are.
I'm going to tell you in 1 second. They're playing in San Fran.
Arizona. Playing in Arizona. Nigga stuck.
Yeah, it's Arizona, VP. I don't know.
He's researching.
Old buddy. Yeah, they're playing in Arizona. And they're saying David Johnson is questionable, but probably not looking like he's gonna play. Let's see. He's upgraded to limited participation for Wednesday's practice. Even if he suits up, they'll be by committee. So Kenyon Drake, who came from Miami, Alfred Morris, they should be taking the helm tomorrow night, taking the bulk of the snaps there as far as the running game goes. But San Fran has been pretty damn good on defense this year on both fronts, running and in the pass game. So it's going to be an extreme challenge there. I'm looking to see what the line is, what the spreads are for this week. Let's see what it says here. So that
I can tell you that San Francisco's going to win.
Educated guesses,
and they're going to cover because it's Arizona.
I don't know, man. When are they going to lose?
I don't know.
They got to lose at some point, man.
They have to. We need it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to lose at some point. These motherfuckers ain't the Patriots now, are they?
They're definitely not the Dolphins.
All right, so Arizona's getting Arizona's getting 10.5 from San Fran. At home, they're home underdogs by 10.5 points. It's divisional. So
year too.
what do you think, EJ? Who you got? Give it to me.
Man, all roads point to the Bay. All roads point to San Fran on this one. But I don't know, man. I think Kyler Murray's got something special up his sleeve tomorrow. They're at home. You know, they're fourth in the NFC West. They got mollywopped by the Saints last weekend. They've beaten teams. They haven't really had a great showing out this year. They're still young. They've showed some promise here and there. The Seahawks routed them at home, kind of beat them by 17 points. I'm gonna say Kyler Murray's gonna have a great game, but they're still gonna lose. I don't think San Fran's gonna cover that spread. I got San Fran winning by a touchdown. Why not?
VP.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think San Francisco wins the game. I don't think they cover 10.5. They win. I'll say they win by 10, not the 10.5. But I didn't want to copy EJ, you know. But yeah, I think San Fran's win, man. They're rolling on all cylinders, man. And you know, I'm somebody who has shitted on Jimmy G. I felt like he was overpaid based on the body of work. And then when he came back and then got injured, I thought that it was, you know, just proving my point, you know. But now he's back in full effect. That team seems to be rolling on all cylinders. And they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to go undefeated, but it's not going to be this week against the Cardinals. So yeah, I got San Fran winning it. They're going to win it at home in southeast San Francisco, aka Arizona.
But you don't think they're going to cover the 10.5, right?
No.
Okay. So Arizona got Patrick Peterson back this week, or actually last week, I want to say. So you're going to have Patrick Peterson back. You know, San Fran traded for Emmanuel Sanders. He scored last week. So that's another target for Jimmy G. Jimmy G, I don't think is the difference maker. I think really the defense is a difference maker. And the run game. I mean, shit, last week, Tevin Coleman, who fucking couldn't win the job in Atlanta, scored 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground and a passing touchdown. So, I mean, or a receiving touchdown, because I know how you guys feel about that. But yeah, so I think San Francisco. I'm gonna say San Francisco divisional. I'm gonna give them 17. I think they win by 17. I think they're gonna beat them pretty bad. That defense has been so nasty. Really, it's just a matter of keeping Kyler Murray contained slightly. And, you know, with no running game for Arizona, you only have one dimension of the game that you have to stop, right? Which is, you know, the passing game with a rookie quarterback with, you know, Larry Fitzgerald, who's, you know, granted he has great hands. He's fucking as old as John Witherspoon was. So, you know, he's just, you know, it's Christian Kirk, you know, young kid, really fast, but, you know, drops balls. Pause. And so Yeah, I'm going with San Francisco to cover the 10.5, and I think that it'll be a wrap for Arizona tomorrow. If they had David Johnson, maybe I think it'd be a little closer, but I think they're gonna blow him out. I think it's gonna be pretty fucking nasty, mañana, and I think it's gonna be a boring ass game because we're gonna just see San Fran beating up on Arizona.
Yeah.
I think Kyler Murray shows out tomorrow. I think he makes it a close game. I think he performs offensively well. I think he does something different because this is going to be their first matchup of the season. And I think Kyler's. I just got a feeling Kyler's going to get spicy with him and do a little something.
Yeah,
not going to win, but
cool. All right, so we're right about 90 minutes.
So EJ, who you got on the race to the bottom?
I mean, we have one win. We have one win. I think we'll beat this. Honestly, I think we'll beat the Skins off sheer defense because their offense is some ass, but our offense is ass as well. I think if you guys get a win, it'll be against us.
No, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about Miami versus the Jets this weekend.
Yeah. Fuck, but that'll be our first meeting, though, right?
Yeah.
So even if y'all do win, we're gonna beat y'all the second time around. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know.
I feel like my Dolphins are getting better each week.
Yeah, I don't feel like they were bad. I mean, other than week one, I don't feel like they were that bad.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, we have played largely with third string quarterbacks. Again, I've said this before, and I've been ramping up my say on this. I think Sam Darnold is a bust. I think he's going to be a complete bust. I hope he proves me wrong, but I think he's going to be a complete bust, and I think that's our biggest problem. I felt like we should have taken other quarterbacks at other times, whether it had been Mason Rudolph, Josh Allen.
I like Allen.
We could have kept, the pick and gone for Quentin Nelson. I just think the Jets are a victim of horrible GMs. I think this guy Douglas is going to be no better as it all pans out. And Sam Darnold is at a pivotal point. Sam Darnold to me is Matt Stafford minus Calvin Johnson. And, unless he shapes up, he's going to be one of those guys with a lot of physical talent that just couldn't get the shit done. And, I mean, he might wind up on another team. He might be one of those guys that on the back end of his career where he starts to get it, he becomes more effective. But I don't really see him in the near future really panning out for the Jets. I hope I'm wrong. He may dominate and play well this Sunday. I hope I'm right in that regard. But thus far, and I've been saying it for, last season, I think he's a bust. But that's our biggest hang up. We cannot score the football. We're out there playing defense with people you've never even heard of. And Greg Williams has got these guys firing. And then Adam Gase is an idiot. So
he is. He is.
With that said, I think we can beat you guys. But I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want us to get a win. And at this point, and not even at this point, but I said in the beginning of the season, once we traded Tunsil, I said we weren't playing for 2019. I thought we might win 3 games, maybe 4. Thought we might get some Fitz magic. Pull off a couple of wins, steal a couple of here and there, but that's just not happening. But I just want one win, simply because we can't be the only team to go undefeated as well as go winless.
I did call that at the beginning of the season, and you know what? Now that you say that, I think we're gonna beat you, motherfuckers. And yeah, y'all gonna be the only team in NFL history. I'm doubling down on what I said. Gonna be the only team in NFL history to go undefeated and winless at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just want to get one. I just want to get one.
So the biggest issue I think that the Jets have, honestly, is going to be Adam Gase. You guys are not using Le'Veon Bell the way you should be. Paid the fucking guy amazing amounts of money, and I talked about it last time. He's not getting the fucking targets that he should be getting in the passing game. He's not getting the attempts he should be getting in the running game. And now for the rest of the year, you guys fucking schedule is extremely easy for the Jets. When you look at it, you guys have Miami coming up this weekend. Then you get the Giants, which is soft as hell. Washington, Oakland, Cincinnati, Miami again, and then you close out with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, which are the two hardest, in week 15 and 16. So,
that could be 5 in a row.
Huh?
I said that could be 5 in a row.
And we had a winnable game in Jacksonville, but Sam Darnold was solely to blame for this game. People want to blame the O-line. He had ample time. I think Jets fans are retarded. They want to see him stand back there for 10 seconds. Every quarterback is under fire, dog. Climb the pocket, run, do something different. He had ample time. This dude, I remember it was 8 minutes and 44 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's 7-point deficit. Fucking 2nd and 24. Somebody leaks out the backfield wide open. Instead of dumping it down for a gain of probably 15 to 20, this dude tries to throw the ball in a tightly covered one-on-one situation with a high safety over the top, and it gets picked off. And even in the opening drive where we score and then we get the ball back, and this dude is going downfield, he throws a costly interception that just changes the whole momentum of the game. Minshew, escaped a lot of sacks and made some plays downfield, but this motherfucker allowed them back on the field and back in the scoring contention by throwing interceptions. So you figure, had they won that game, then they won, like VP said, maybe 5 in a row. The AFC right now is very wide open outside of Baltimore, Colts, and the Patriots. Jacksonville and Houston and a lot of these different teams are kind of all over the place. They could have made it a respectable season to finish off with, but I mean, Sam Darnold, he just can't read defenses, and defenses know it. They're sending people without any regard that he will beat them. And part of that is coaching, but I think a large part of it is Sam Darnold. He had this problem in USC. And if you look at all of his draft profile reports and listen to the videos, cats were like, I don't care about his interceptions as much. What? They were making excuses for this guy. And then when you compare the criticism and the passes he gets compared to Lamar Jackson, who's actually successful in the NFL, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. I'm fed up with Darnold.
So the thing about Sam Darnold is you got to remember he's also a kid. He's extremely, he hasn't matured yet. He's 2 years younger than fucking Baker Mayfield. So, he's going to need time to get better. He's in a system, again, with a coach who's not, the plays are not being called correctly. You guys are not taking the correct approach to winning games. Sure, Lamar Jackson is having much more success. But Lamar Jackson is also being brought back down to earth, and he's being shown to be a one-dimensional guy. He's running, and he's fast as shit. Sure, absolutely. He's, getting 70 to 100 yards a game on the ground, which is where he's showing to be successful. But I think a true test that you're going to get is going to be this week against the fucking Patriots and Bill Belichick for Lamar Jackson. Has he been good this year? Absolutely. if you're gauging, long-term success and potential from this year between, let's say, him and Sam Darnold, I think Darnold needs a little more time as an opportunity to prove himself. And who knows? He might be shit. He may turn out to be shit, but he's a kid. He's young, and he needs to mature.
Him and Jackson the same age.
And he needs targets. You can't be a good quarterback without targets.
Him and Jackson are the same age.
I don't agree with that.
Him and Jackson are the same age. Lamar Jackson has proven that he's made a concerted effort to, I'm going to do what I do best, which is run with the football. Sam Darnold was heralded as the same kind of guy, obviously not as fast, but he can move with the ball, but he chooses not to. He chooses to stand back, watch the defense rush him, make no adjustments. I praise Lamar Jackson for a very least at he throws the ball and he throws efficiently to his tight ends and he takes care of the football. I can respect the guy where I've seen Lamar Jackson make great throws. I can respect the guy that knows when to pull it down, tuck the ball, either run or do something else with it. Fucking Sam Darnold here is playing Brett Favre 2.0, trying to throw it into 5 feet of window, not even 5 feet less, of a window. And it's just like, yo, what are you doing? Throwing off your back foot, just taken sack fumbles, holding the ball with one hand like a loaf of bread. He just doesn't make smart football plays. And it just amazes me how you can go against the Cowboys, who had a great defense, had the same blitz and same coverage, get lucky a couple of times, break some open, and then get against the Patriots and just you see ghosts. You don't even at any point try to make any adjustments at the line. You see this guy's coming free. You don't run. You don't move. He just is a deer in headlights, and I can't respect it. Him and Lamar Jackson are the same age, and I'm not gonna think of Lamar Jackson any less because he's doing what he does best to win football games. Fuck that. He's making the throws he needs to. He's running when he needs to, and he's not turning the football over. Sam Darnold is not doing anything that looks remotely like a quarterback that knows how to play football. And they're blaming the offensive line, and it's not all their fault. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, man.
It's the coaching. There's a lot. You gotta remember, Harbaugh is not a fucking slouch, man. Harbaugh is a good coach. From a defensive standpoint, the Jets have a good defense, but Baltimore's defense is way better on paper and playing way better. So, they're fresher. Like I said, Lamar Jackson looks way better, but he also looks better than fucking 25 other quarterbacks in the league that we know are probably better than him at the quarterback position. Only time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But yeah,
quarterbacks.
It is what it is.
You don't like black quarterbacks.
The race to the bottom in general, I think Cincinnati just made a power move. They're sitting Andy Dalton and they're going to play a rookie quarterback. So they're like, Miami, your move.
They about to fuck around and win. Andy Dalton about to fuck around, be on the Jets next year, battling with Sam Darnold for a starting position.
Shit, they talking about our move. Chris Greer cut the whole team. He's like, fuck it, we forfeit.
And you're like, you can have everybody for a 6th-round draft pick.
Quit school for recess, bitch. You want to play? Yeah, that race to the bottom is nasty.
Yeah. I wonder, do you guys think, I asked this question in the chat the other day, but I don't think anybody saw it. I think we were kind of going fast and furious and it got missed. But although I don't think that this is likely, let's just say for the sake of argument that the Dolphins hit on some draft picks and turn it around. And I'm not talking about Super Bowl, but they win a decent amount of games, maybe make the playoffs. Do you see other teams going to this model instead of saying, let's, take the Band-Aid approach, pick up a guy here and there and saying, let's blow it the fuck up?
No, I think the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are unique in that sense. And we don't know. Time will tell if it pans out, because if it never pans out, they're gonna look like jackasses, right? But if you look at teams like San Fran, that they've suffered for a long time. Now they didn't blow it up as bad as y'all did, seemingly, but they're a franchise that knows how to progressively take their lumps. Um, Same with fuck, I can't think. San Fran is the only team I could think of right now that progressively took their lumps and did that. I mean, even with Cleveland on paper, they at least they you would thought they had made a push with all of the moves that they're making, but they just front loaded too much. I think what the Dolphins did is kind of risky. I think it's pretty risky, and I don't think a lot of teams move that way. But I think, though, to their credit, if this does happen successfully, I think it'll be historic, because they'll be banking so much on young talent, and then you're really not gonna see a lot of this progress until maybe 3 to 4 years from now. So I mean, it's very risky. I don't think a lot of teams can afford to do that, because this game, you need guys to be mentally a little bit more mature, which is going to require some time. And there are franchises that just they progressively take those beatings and they come back. San Fran did that, man. They were getting beat up for years, and here they are. So I don't think that a team will be bold enough to do that, which, spoils go to the bold if this actually works for y'all.
And I agree with you for the most part. I think the one area where I would kind of differ a little bit is that while they are banking on a lot of young talent to help pull the team back and try to get to winning, they also have a shitload of cap space, and I think they're banking on bringing in free agents who can help mold these young guys and get them ready to be the future, and not just solely on young talent. So there definitely will be a lot of young talent, a lot of young guys in the building, but I think they're hoping to be able to get some top shelf guys to come, kind of like a big three situation, like the Heat. Get some guys to come through and mold these young players.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So I'd be hard pressed to say that you see teams taking that risk solely on what we've seen in the past, right? You saw, for draft picks it's a little different, but you saw Indy suck for luck, and now look where that is. That was an experiment that went wrong, right? They made the playoffs, but the ultimate goal is not to make the playoffs. Like, nobody wants the runner-up trophies. I know that's where our society is today, where we're giving out, participation trophies to kids and shit. But when you get to that stage, you're there for the win. You know what I mean? End of the day. Same thing with Philly, right? Philly did all the tank shit, trust the process, yada, 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 from a basketball standpoint. And, sure, the team looks great on paper. It looked really good on paper last year, but, they didn't make it out of the East. And now the East is super weak. And at this point, they're probably still not the favorites. They're the favorites to be, in the top 3 of 6 when it comes to playoff time, because there ain't shit else going on in the East. But favorites to win the East, not so much. And favorites to win the chip, not even close, right? So, I don't know, man. Maybe if it pans out, I think, which is what EJ was getting at, definitely, you might see a team do it. But, if you really think about it, most of these teams that are – so I think we're in a very unique stage in the NFL right now, where there's turnovers, and we've talked about the next level or the next generation of players being here now. And this is the time where you can do this, right? But you're going to start to see teams where these young quarterbacks on all these teams are going to start to develop and maybe get better. And these older quarterbacks and these older receivers and running backs are going to start to age out. And so these teams are all going to start to think, well, we're one piece away or we're two pieces away. So why trade the farm, when we can maybe just throw a little bit out there and see if we can get that one piece. Miami, like I said, Miami's in a unique situation where they can do this. And if done correctly, like yesterday, the move you guys made for Talib was fucking magical. You guys got a higher draft pick for it. You paid for it, but you're getting a veteran presence in your secondary who, can mold these whatever young picks come in there on the defense and possibly be that voice of reason, to kind of say, hey, guys, if we really stick with this, we can be a really good team. And not only that, he's got the fire in his belly. He's no bitch. You know what I'm saying? So I think it can certainly work out for you guys, but I don't think it's something that I don't think it's a mold by which you'll see GMs, because again, GMs want to win. You don't want to waste money. For example, like an Arthur Blank, right? He got that brand new stadium. He cuts the prices for his fans and shit like that. And Atlanta, if they decided to follow that, now they're negative, right? They'd be in the red. Same shit with like Orlando. Orlando built that stadium. Dwight Howard left, and they've been shit ever since. So I think it's hard to sit back as a GM and be that patient to be like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. But also remember, aside from all of that, you guys had some good players to draw some good fucking draft picks, right?
Yeah.
So the other teams that might consider something like that, they're not going to have the players like you guys had, like a Laramie Tunsil, to draw those picks. So it's a blueprint that can work, but I don't think it's a blueprint that can be repeated to that level.
Yeah, that makes sense what you're saying. And I think the one thing that people are missing is that the Dolphins are trying to rebuild. And like, we talk about in all sports, whether it's basketball, football, etc., that the way to do it is to build through the draft. And the Dolphins are saying, we want to build through the draft, but we want to do it now. We don't want to make it a 5-year process. We want to load up with picks and draft guys this year and next year to make this team competitive, instead of just waiting and doing an incremental type thing, And so, like you said, some of the pieces we had, like a Laramie Tunsil, like a Minka Fitzpatrick, even though we didn't want to get rid of Fitzpatrick, he asked to be traded, but use those guys, brought in value and pick in terms of picks, and then you try to rebuild that squad, And I just saw you posted the Nationals won, so
too.
Congrats to the city of DC,
the District of Columbia,
first World Series championship in the city's history. Speaking from experience, I know that that got to be a great feeling.
It's light work when you got 27 of them bitches. Yeah, so that shit's gonna be nuts.
This weekend will be a fun weekend, man. Sunday at least. So you figure Saturday is daylight savings, so times go back, clocks go back. Don't forget. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a London game at 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. So that's gonna come an hour earlier. Because of the clocks falling back, and it's 9:30 instead of 1 o'clock. So we're gaining about 4.5 hours before we get to see football, or again. So that's going to be phenomenal. Should be a good weekend. We'll get live on Facebook this weekend for those of you that want to hear some picks and some potential fantasy advice, etc. We'll be live on Facebook, so peep us out there. Follow us, comment for us, like us, share us, subscribe on YouTube. Give us the love that you feel we deserve, and if you don't feel we deserve it, well, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? We could live without it, without the negativity. So, without further ado, VP, if you could and if you would, please get us up out of here.
Yes, sir. All right, folks, as always, we appreciate you rocking with us, and we hope that you help us grow this podcast. You can like, comment, share, follow, subscribe on any of our social media platforms. You can find us at Castworthy on Instagram. It's at Castworthy_podcast. And, again, like we said, definitely appreciate you listening. Want you to help us grow the podcast. We can reach more people, talk about more things. And, we definitely appreciate you rocking with us, and we'll talk to you the next time. And don't forget to tune in live on Facebook on Sunday, where we're gonna go over some picks, some fantasy options, and we'll see you then. In the meantime, peace.